August is nice. It's scaldingly hot, insects are buzzing, waiting for work to end so I can go on the beach and lay there for a while. Hey, even TFT is slowing down as we prepare for Set 4 launch in about a month. Make sure you rise up to the rank you want using the best comps this and next patch and get that nice border to flex to your friends and enemies. Hey everyone, and welcome to another ProGuides TFT video. Today we're going to be talking about patch 10.16's prevalent comps and why they've been so successful. Make sure to play these comps when you can, and you will definitely rise in rank. As with every top comps list, getting the top comp will not guarantee you first place, but it will give you a high enough chance for a top 4 finish, netting you that sweet LP. Positioning, items, and scouting are still your most important tools in this game, working together with your comp in order to give you that shiny first place. In this video, we will talk about each comp, a general playstyle guide, look at items they use, and their positioning. This patch did not really change much from the previous one, but it solidified a couple of builds and brought some more to light. Finally, we have some new entrants in this list after a while, and we can't wait to outline them for you guys. Before we dive in, I just want to let you guys know that we have a Discord community and a new subreddit that is growing really fast. We have you to thank for that, and we want to continue building our community and helping you be a part of it. So make sure you check the link in the description below. With all that said, let's dive right into our top comp for 10.16, and it is BladeMaster. They slash and stab their way into the meta, led by Jedi Master himself, Master Yi. The prevalence of this comp is why the Shen 3-star buff was pulled, and correctly so. The most important part about this is that it has two strong variations, one centered around Master Yi and one around Xayah. Playstyle for the different types is quite dissimilar though, so let's break it down. For the Master Yi version, it is best played when you have a BladeMaster spatula relatively early. BF Sword doesn't really build into many strong items for this version, so you can greed it out a bit if you find an early spatula and Master Yis. What makes it one of the best builds though is that you can play it just fine even without the spatula. Aim for the 3 BladeMasters early. This build is best played right out of the gate when you get a Master Yi from the gray loot boxes, as well as 1 or 2 recurve bows. Master Yi without attack speed is fairly underwhelming after all. You should level relatively aggressively to 6 and make a push to 7 by stage 3-6 at the latest. That way you have a decent chance for 2 costs like Yasuo, Zed, and Shen, while maximizing your chances for Master Yis. The comp caps out at level 8 with Blade of the Ruined King or without, but the comp's makeup is a bit different, as you will see in the positioning section. At level 9, you can put in 4 Chrono, especially now that it's buffed. 3-star Master Yi is the ultimate win condition, but you can win without as well as long as you go to level 9. As for the Xayah version, it's regular unlimited blade work stuff, but you only need to 3-star Jarvan and Xayah, not focusing on Caitlyn and or Fiora. You need to level after all, as the comp caps out at level 9 with Thresh. With the 6 BladeMasters, depending on your items, you can choose to have a second carry of Aurelia, Master Yi, or even Riven if you have strong AP. Let's see how these comps look then. For the Master Yi version, you usually have to use Rebels, so his positioning is rather set. Since the comp has a fair amount of mobility, you should switch positions often to best attack your opponents, as well as defend against Zephyr and Shroud, which can be quite detrimental. This is the positioning and final comp when you have Blade of the Ruined King, and this is it when you don't. You notice that some things change, with the need to go to 9 when you don't have Blade of the Ruined King to get the most out of your comp. You can still use Zed to get the Rebel buff and add Echo or Fizz, but you can also swap in things like Ziggs and GP, or Aurelion Soul and another Chrono. For the Xayah version, nothing changes over much, just make sure to protect the Xayah and have Jarvan where he can buff the most people fast. BladeMasters scale extremely well with attack speed, so whatever side carry you're using, Master Yi or Aurelia, they will wreck faces almost as fast as Xayah. Make sure you switch often, as there are Victors who like how you line up and Fizzes who want to jump in your face, so position accordingly. Looking at items needed for this comp, they are very different for each version, meaning you can do either depending on what you get. Xayah uses the usual Infinity Edge / Last Whisper combo, with the third one actually not necessarily being Quicksilver or Guardian Angel anymore. With 6 BladeMasters and the speed with which they attack, you can go for a third damage item like Deathblade. The whole point is to kill them before they kill you. Make sure you make some defensive items for Jarvan as well, as he is your main frontliner, with support from Shen and Riven. As for Master Yi version, attack speed galore. Master Yi without RFC is much weaker, so always try to prioritize that. Rabadon's or Guinsoo's and then Hurricane complete beat the build. Hurricane uses the true damage from Master Yi's ult, so it's really good. As for the rest of the items, the Blade of the Ruined King version gives Zed items like Infinity Edge or Guardian Angel. If you don't have it, Aurelia uses Bloodthirster, Infinity Edge, etc. really well, and if you find Infiltrator's Talons, give it to her. It's amazing. That's it about new Blade Masters. The comp presents itself in 10.16 as the comp to play, and it's hotly contested in most high elo lobbies. It can support 2 players in the same lobby, but not easily. Yeah, this is a terrible name, we know. Give us suggestions in the comments though. But until then, we named this comp like this since it uses a little bit of everything, focusing on the 3 mech pilot's traits and using Victor or Shaco as main carries. It is currently one of the better top 4 comps and can support multiple players, so it's a safe way to climb. In this comp, you really play what you get outside of the mech. The main constants are Shaco and Victor as supports, as well as Ziggs, and then later Gangplank in the late game. The aim is to cram as many completed synergies in, so level 9 is usually the goal, but you could do quite well at level 8 as well. Use Twisted Fate or Ahri in the early game to carry Victor items. They do it really well. If you make mech items, you can use a Vanguard to carry them. Otherwise, you can give Zed, Xayah, or Kog'Maw the Shaco items. You can switch between Shaco or Victor carry depending on the items you get, but one of the latest trends is to not itemize the mech early and focus on the 2 carries, while trusting on the mech to last a bit until full item carousels can outfit it a bit better. With all that said, in the mech mix salad, it's not all about what items you get, and then you know which version to branch off towards. Let's have a look at positioning and the comp setup itself. Positioning is the usual mech fare, where you space out the 3 mech components in a neutral position and do the same for infiltrators you might have. Then you scout and position accordingly to the left or right, depending on where your next opponents or the majority of the lobby is leaning. Karma buff is fine on Victor, especially if he has Shojin, so don't worry about moving Shaco and not being fast enough with Karma. At level 9, if you go there or have a FON, you can add an Aurelian Soul, a Janna if there are many Vanguards, etc. Itemization is the most important aspect of this comp, as it guides your decision making in the mid game and safeguards or plummets your HP. Generally, Victor is fine with double mana items, Shojin and blue buff, and just a Morello as he spams that laser. You can also use Death Cap on him. Shaco needs GA, Bloodthirster, and maybe a Deathblade or Gwynsus. If you have anything close to 6 perfect Victor plus Shaco items in the mid game, consider going towards no item mech. It's also best when you're uncontested and have a chance of 3-starring Victor or Shaco. If you don't have any of the above, focusing on the mech to then carry you through the late game is also fine. Just remember that Victor, like Cassiopeia, without Morello and blue buff or Shojin, is not really a champion and will do nothing with just the 2 sorcerer buff. That's it for Mech Mix Salad. Remember to give us some names in the comments, as it seems this comp is here to stay and will probably be a strong build in World Championship. While not necessarily a comp that gets first, it can reliably get a top 4 and a second most of the time. One of the only ways to get first with this is to get 2 Battlecast Spatulas and manage to get those 8 Battlecasts. In this patch, they are nigh unbeatable. Kog'Maw is back with a vengeance and wants to get some firsts. This is a bona fide reroll comp. You stay at level 4, then stay at level 5 until you can 3-star Illaoi at least. Nocturne, you can rely on some random Nocturne shops later as well, but do try to get him. Illaoi is your main frontliner and a worthy itemization target, so she is a priority. You should also try to get most of the Kog'Maws you see, but he is more likely to be 3-starred by the time you reach level 6. Whether you 3-star Graves or not is debatable. If you find many, do it, but it's not by any chance a win condition. You can use Jinx in the mid game to buff Kog'Maw's damage, or Ezreal to get some disruption, so Graves is not a must. For a reroll comp, it has a severe handicap in that it has to go 8 or even better 9 to find an Urgot. As such, instead of the usual roll to 0 gold strategy, you need to econ as fast as possible to get to 50 gold and slow roll from there. And then start leveling like a maniac around 4 or 5 after having hopefully found a 3-star cog. The comp is completed when you find Urgot, with 6 Battlecast wreaking havoc, especially if you have the right itemization. Protect your Cog as much as possible. He's not too vulnerable to damage over time, as he heals a bunch when he drops below 50%, but you want him to be above that 50% most of the time to deal damage. Unless you have items on Victor or an Ionic on Illaoi, he will be most of your damage, so be careful. The comp should look like this, with some extra changes depending on the lobby. You generally want to keep that Soraka in there, but you're versatile with the rest. If you don't have 3-star Graves, you can switch in Ezreal and Blitzcrank for that Chrono Blaster Brawler combo. Red buff is really important on Kog'Maw for this, and so is Ionic Spark for Illaoi. Shroud is a really strong item for her too, but not a must build. Static Shiv is really good on Cog as a second item, as it allows him to start with an ult and scales a bit better into the late game. Due to how it works now, picking up units that have some CC like Gnar is a bonus since he deals a bit more damage to them. The third item for either can be a bit fluid, though Giant Slayer is good for Cog and so is Warmogs or Bramble Vest for Illaoi. Other items should go on Victor and Urgot depending on what you get, of course. This is a comp that is fairly hard to play contested, but doable since most of the units are 1 costs and 2 costs. I have seen 2 players have everything 3-starred and get top 4 together, so it's not impossible. It will be tougher to get through the mid game, so try to get to that 4 Battlecast state as soon as possible, with 2 items on Kog'Maw so that you can save as much HP and get that LP in the end. There are a few honorable mentions you should try out as well this patch. Let's see. Cybernetics are at their best right now. They're not OP, so few people play them each lobby, if at all. Especially if you can greed and go for that Infiltrator Aurelia, you are good to go. Brawler Blaster's Jinx is decent, but please don't make red buff on her, it does nothing. With her slightly better AD scaling, Deathblade is really good on her, along with Last Whisper and RFC. Protectors are doing relatively well if you get enough Giants belts early to snowball to mid-game, otherwise you will have damage issues and fall off. Getting to 6 Protectors is the true win condition though. All Legendaries comp is still doing well, but with mid-games being more explosive, things are tougher for greedy comps like that. Astro Snipers are really good, but the nerfs hit them to where they're definitely not overwhelming everyone. Do play them, but build Giant Slayer and Last Whisper on Jhin, or you'll never get through the max. That's it for this video. We will be uploading every week on Wednesday and Sunday. Thanks for watching, and make sure to check out our TFT content on YouTube and our high elo coaches on ProGuides.com. If you have any feedback for us, comment below and we will be happy to read what you have to say. Now get out there and farm some LP using the comps you saw here today, and I will see you guys in the next video.